Um, Ralph, do you ever see a situation where you would support giving taxpayer money to parents to use for vouchers or tax credits to send their kids to private schools?
Bob, we're doing that now. We have money that we give to colleges and universities, public and private, in the form of tuition grants, in the form of, lottery grants, this sort of thing. We also have vouchers that we give to parents of small children that are in daycare. So we're doing that now, and there's a lot of people that are a little bit upset about the idea of giving private money to people that want to educate their children in other than public schools. I guess the biggest problem I have is the fact that I am a state representative and I have to look out for the interests of the total state. It's great to be able to do what I'd like to do in my own district and in my school systems, but at present we're sitting at 49th or 50th in the nation, depending on test scores and graduations and those kind of things. Also, graduation, we have one of the lowest graduation rates in the country. And for parents who are trapped in those situations where there's a situation where they're attending a bad school or there's a bad school district, they ought to have the option to get their children out of that and get them into a functioning school district. If they were all like Spartanburg, 1 through 7, there wouldn't be a need to do anything like this, but they're not. And truly, out of the 8 to 10 counties that are as well off as we are, there's quite a few more that are not, and those people shouldn't be penalized. The biggest critics that I've heard come from counties like ours, and the problem is if they were in one of those poor counties, they'd probably be demanding vouchers also.
Okay. There are a couple of consolidation ideas that have been floated. One of them yours. Mm-hmm. Do you still favor consolidation of Spartanburg districts, and what's the benefit that you see?
I do, and Spartanburg can brag about, and they have every reason to. We've got a fine educational system. We've got some of the lowest cost for funding of education. But the fact is we could actually lower those costs even more. There's no reason in Spartanburg County to have 7 school superintendents, just like there's no reason to have 7 sheriffs or 7 county council administrators or 7 coroners or 7 anything. Costs can be reduced and it become more manageable and more open to the public when you're able to combine just the administrative part of it. We're not talking about doing away with any districts. We're not talking about closing schools and consolidating areas and this sort of thing. It's keeping local control, but at the same time, it creates an organization within the district, within Spartanburg County, to maintain equality and make sure that functions are all addressed. And it's a cost-saving measure. And the economy going like it is, and I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. There are people that are going to truly be hurt, and I don't think that anybody's going to come along and say, you're doing this just for tax purposes. It's for actual citizens that need additional or need money, their own money, to survive.
There's also a lot of talk about the need to curtail spending in Columbia. Is a spending cap the best way to achieve that?
I think we've been very liberal in the way that we've tried to work with counties and cities and governmental entities. We've tried to encourage them to be more frugal and be more cost-effective and be responsible. Hadn't worked. And as most people know, the General Assembly has sent tax reductions back to the property owners, the regular citizen out there, local governments, colleges, you name them. Anything associated with government has a tendency to try to get that money before it ever gets back to the citizen, and that's wrong. Over the last 4 or 5 years, we've tried to develop caps and make them fair and reasonable, because we understand there are going to be increased costs in just about everything out there. But the citizen deserves better, and it's up to us to do it. And it's going to be a tough road to hoe. Of course, I'm not used to doing that kind of thing, but if somebody needs to be out front and try to plant seeds, I'll do that. And I've tried to do it over the last 4 or 5 years.
What specifically will you do to bring new investment and new jobs to South Carolina?
We've already done it, and we've worked on it for the last 5 or 6 years. And we looked at what position we may be in 2009, 2010. We were looking at that 5 years ago. There's been all kind of tax incentives and job development and all types of tax credits out there for business, and encourage businesses to come. We've, of course, eliminated property tax, which affected businesses also. To say that, and some people have said that we haven't done enough, everything's in place. It's just the economy, and it's not only our economy in South Carolina, but in the country and across the world. We're in a position right now that, and probably in a better position than most states in this country. So when things get a little bit worse in other areas of the country, then they're going to look at us and say that there's an effort on South Carolina's part to keep things in line and keep them under control as far as taxing and those kind of things for industry. And looking at the future, I truly support Speaker Harrell's endowed chairs program, because it's going to bring some of the highest technological industries in the world here in South Carolina. That seed was planted 3 or 4 years ago, and it's starting to flower.
Okay. In looking at your finance disclosure statements for the last 2 periods, I see 2 individual contributions and then a lot of PAC money. How can the voters of District 37 be sure that you're representing them and not the PACs?
Well, I think all they have to do is look at what I've done in the past and what I've done recently. My concerns about them, about my constituency, is priority number 1. I look out for them, and I look out. Probably have, and I do. I have one of the highest constituent service ratings in the state, and we've had governmental liaisons tell me that I've worked with not only DSS but DHEC and all those agencies. I've never sold a vote. I've never tried to buy a vote, and a lot of those entities out there that have contributed to my campaign are PACs that my constituents belong to. Maybe Michelin, and Michelin I don't think has PAC money, but it could be a corporation out there that donates that money in the name of their employees to look at it. But as far as me ever voting the way an individual or a group of individuals want me to vote, I've not done it. If it benefits my constituency and benefits the state of South Carolina, then I'll do it. And I know that there's a bad taste in people's mouths for something that happened 15 years ago in South Carolina, lost trust. We had people that sold their votes. I've never done it. And as long as people in District 37 want me to represent them, I'll represent them and not special interest.